Okay. All right, I'm going to call this meeting of
Thank
the
you.
Township of Ocean Environmental Commission to order. Let's do a quick roll call. Member Polton. Member Johnson.
Here.
Member Gaudet.
Here.
Member Lutz.
Here.
Member Brandon indicated that he would not be here tonight. Member Mamie here. Alternate Tremonti.
Here.
And alternate Baxi.
Here.
Great. Fantastic. Statement of compliance with the Open Public Meeting Law. The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on June 30th, 2023. We do not have any minutes for approval, but we do have welcome and introductions to our not quite council liaison. This is your first Environmental Commission meeting. You've been hanging out with the shade tree more. We're a little jealous.
It's 8 o'clock.
So I know that everyone in the town knows who you are, but if you wouldn't mind doing a little introduction and your thoughts on the environment and concerns about the environment in town, we can all kind of introduce ourselves to you and tell you a little bit about what we do, and we'll go from there. So take it away.
My name's Kelly Terry, relatively new council member.
But not the newest.
What's that?
But not the newest.
Not the newest, correct. That is correct. I came in, I guess it's a little over a year ago, back in November of 23 is when I started the position. Lifelong resident, back up to Joe Palayan Park. Very interested in environmental type issues, primarily for that reason. I have not attended a meeting before. I've only attended, well, today was my second for the Shade Tree Commission. I don't know if I will be the council liaison. However, I know that after Margie left, I wanted to step in to make sure that you had a voice. So that's why I'm here.
And we appreciate that. So why don't we go around and then we'll do our members who are virtual, and I'll go last. So we'll start with Julia and we'll just...
I'm Julia. You know I'm very green, and I don't allow plastic bottles on the table.
I know, that's right.
I'm trying to filter up my microplastics.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here as an alternate. I'm Anjali Baxi. I'm also an alternate, and I live in Wayside, and I do care about our environment. So I'm glad to be part of this group.
Ken Lutz, I guess I'm the longest serving member of the Environmental Commission, former chair actually, and I've been around for decades.
You were off the commission for a while,
I was off.
so you kind of start over.
Okay, yeah, I had an assignment in Washington in 2009 for a year, so I left town. Anyway,
And what were you doing in Washington, Ken?
working as a science advisor to a senator.
Yeah.
That was exciting. Anyway, so anyway, I have a lot of experience writing ordinances and legislation and other things.
I'm Norman Colton. I'm on the Shade Tree Commission. I'm the chair. Like one of those things. Volunteers step forward, everyone will step back. And I've been on the Shade Tree, the Environment Commission longer because there was a defunct Shade Tree Commission that got created.
Okay.
And, so that's where I started.
I'm Jack Maley. I'm the chair of the Green Team, and I'm also on the EC as a full member. Just
Tell her about your garden.
but my garden.
Yeah, don't you have like a hydroponic garden in your backyard?
Oh yeah, I have a hydroponic garden, and it's electronic, so it has sensors in every bed, and it automatically waters with drip irrigation.
I bought one of those tower things that I have yet to be able to put together, so I guess I just found the right guy.
So yeah, that's. So if you want to start a community garden, let me know.
I think that is.
We have like 5 through the garden club.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To join.
Our virtual members, how about Stephen?
All right. When Ken brought me into the Environmental Commission, his hair was not white. So I've been here for quite a while. lived in town for a little bit longer, and been involved in various environmental issues throughout the community.
All right. Mary?
I've been on the environmental commissions, I think since about 2010 or 11. Before the pandemic, I organized the Earth Fest most years, and right now I'm working on two projects that are both related to Snell Pond. One is gardens where they took down the houses and left blue acres, and well, no, the other one is related to the deer, and I'm waiting for the town to pass the deer ordinance, and then we're going to put out a web page, talking about deers and things we can do to manage the deer population.
All right. And my name is Ed Ophelia. Before moving to Ocean, I was the chair of the Chatham Borough Open Space and Historic Preservation Trust Committee, and I served on their Environmental Commission. In my professional life, I was the municipal policy specialist at the Stony Brook Millstone Watershed Association and the program manager for Jersey Waterworks at New Jersey Future. And in addition to serving on the Environmental Commission, I am the vice chair of the Planning Board. So I also serve as our Planning Board liaison. So that's who we are.
I'm also on the plan.
Chuck's also on the Planning Board. Yeah. tend to be involved in town. So some of the big things that the Environmental Commission has been able to accomplish in the last few years is our environmental resource inventory, which was included by reference on our last master plan that we did last year. In that master plan, we will actually be talking about this a little bit later. In that master plan, we discussed the need to do a new environmental resource inventory that was more aligned with the master plan so that they are done together and so that we will have one that is not in any conflict with the other. So that process, I'm going to talk about it a little bit later tonight, that we should start slowly thinking about that so that we get it done in the next few years. And when we did this, we got a lot of grant funding to do it, which is high on the priority list to do again, because a good ERI like this one, I think this one wound up costing us, what was it? You guys remember $25,000 all told? Something like
Something's
that?
in that range.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we got $20,000 grant, and then we kicked in a little extra on top of that.
With inflation, it's like 50,000.
I just went through, for another nonprofit, I went through an RFP process for consultants to do just a strategic plan, and yeah, what was costing $15,000 in like 2016 is now like $60,000. So,
But the $20,000 grant we got was because of our the New Jersey sustainability.
You mean the Sustainable Jersey
Sustainable Jersey, because we were certified as, I guess, at bronze at that time, allowed us to apply for the grant. And
Is that what I picked up for you guys then in November?
Yes.
The bronze? Okay.
But anyway, that was the highest award. There were only 4 of them given in the state. We got one of them.
yeah, this one, this is a lot of work by a lot of people, and there's a lot of really good information in it. So it's a good resource. If you don't have a copy, because I know all the council members got a copy when we did it, because we printed up 50. I don't know if there's any kicking around in the planning office. I know I don't have any more, but I'll see if we can find you a copy. It's online too, but
Okay.
I shouldn't say that, printing it is an easier way to absorb some of it because we don't want to kill trees, but if you have a really good PDF reader.
You actually had 50 people that you gave that to?
I didn't. It was Mike. But yeah, I think as part of the contract, we got 50 hard copies. So every member of the governing body got it, every member of the planning board, the zoning board, key members and staff, every member of the environmental commission, and I think that brought us pretty close to 50. I don't know if there's any extras. So.
But having that should make updating it to even align it with the master plan a lot less expensive.
Yes. I mean, a lot of it, the hydrology of the town hasn't changed. The streams are roughly where they are with some, sedimentation in parts of Teal Lake notwithstanding. But yes, a lot of the data is still, is not the same lift to collate it all as it was the first time. So hopefully it'll be easier. Anyways, all right. Do you have any other questions for us and what we do?
Not at this time.
Okay, great.
Just going to absorb.
All right, so let's dive into our agenda. On the website, I dropped the ball. I need to get the contact information up there for DEP and for the county health department that we discussed last time. That's on me. I was going through my notes this morning and I knew I forgot to do something last month. So that'll get up there. I don't know if there's anything else that anyone's thought about for the last month that we want to put up on there, on our website.
Maybe Green Fest, now that we have a real date.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
We're kicking around an idea to have the schools do a poster contest for Green Fest this year.
Okay.
Diane is heading that. Diane Brand is going to talk to the high school, and she's at the middle school, the teacher at the middle school, so she's going to kick that around between the two, and we're going to come up with some kind of contest, and we've got to figure out who's going to judge it. Maybe the council wants to judge it.
What day is it?
The Green Fest. It's May 19th. But the judging comes before that. We're trying to get the students involved in creating a flyer for it.
What are they going to win?
I don't know.
Bragging.
Yeah, recognition.
I have a suggestion, only because I've seen this done to great success, is that the winner could have their design put on a t-shirt. And their award could be their t-shirt. I think the Cranberry Environmental Commission did that one year. Yeah. Because then you
That's
can
really
get,
cute.
yeah, they really, really liked it.
You can give them a gift card or something.
To a t-shirt job. Yeah.
Something else for the website, tree giveaway, right?
Which,
Are we gonna give trees away?
That we just talked about, yeah.
yeah, but what do you mean by for the website?
Just to provide
Stuff that we're
information.
going to put on the, I mean, you saw that they've recently redone the whole municipal website. So we have a better page and a page that is
Right.
far
We
more
have to do
easy
that.
to
Once
update.
we get it all figured out, what we're gonna do.
Sure.
There's, turns out the Green Fest is not too late to be coordinated with the tree giveaway.
Okay.
But you have to get them by 24th or 25th of April.
Mhm.
And could keep them in a refrigerator, so I don't forget it. So we're probably gonna give them out just right around that time, maybe on the Sunday before that. And probably the way we did the first one of those giveaways over at the senior center.
Okay.
Next to the pool.
Mhm.
So that was convenient, parking there and so on and so forth. So between the garden club and the Shade Tree Commission, even the environmental commission, we're spending some time there. We had a lot of time. This time I was thinking maybe from let's say it's from 10 to 2 or something like that. And so that we'll put something about that when we get it finalized and everything else. And the giveaway, the third grader giveaway, which was always an environmental commission thing back in the day, they're not giving away the free trees for third graders this year. I was thinking of trying to get more trees, but you can't count on it. First of all, the tree giveaway, and then secondly, you don't know what you're getting how many for the tree giveaway. They have, they're going to have the state selling tubelings, okay, from various things. But I spoke to the person who's down there also. They haven't got the order form out yet because they're growing, from seed, and they're going to see what made it and what didn't make it. So before they go for sale. Now I found another nursery in South Jersey that sells seedlings. The only difference is the tubelings are in a tube. The other ones, they dipped them in a gel at this nursery. But this other nursery, they just sort of dig them and keep them moist, and so they're going to dry out faster.
Okay.
I mean, you give them away, but
So we need to promote the giveaway.
But for this for the third grade, for the third grade, so we give it to the board of ed, we give it to the school system, give it to the Hillel School, and I give it to Shroth.
Sure, yeah.
And Search Day, they only want about 10 or 15 or something. So, point is, I think it'll still work. Got to figure out which ones to get from that place. I got to get to Dave and say, how do you want to handle this, fund it, and so on and so forth. Okay. In the past, I think we did pay for stuff out of our budget.
We couldn't lean on like a local nursery to do that? Like a Lair Community Farm or somebody like that?
No one's growing. There's the place that I used to get them from is even out of business. In fact, they called this other place that we got stuff for that rain garden over by the tennis place. The rain garden, I called them, but they're too pricey. There's little individual plants and pots and everything. I said, this place was called Croshaw Nursery. That's where we used to get them from years ago. I said, what happened to Croshaw? I said, oh, we bought their property. So,
And you need
at
about
least I answered the
300?
question, but then they told me about this place called Ackerboom that's way down in South Jersey that does seedlings. And they put them up, and I got the catalog, and I spoke to them.
About 300?
It's a little over 300. Usually we get 350. Like last year it was convenient. We got more than we needed necessarily because the ones we didn't give away went right into the tree giveaway. And that could still possibly happen with this time also. Because they have like an Earth Day kind of a program and so on and so forth. But the timing is kind of weird, depending on when we do it. Because when we have the giveaway, for example, the day after I give the Friday before the giveaway, as far as the Hill House was concerned, that's when they go on vacation because it's all Passover the next day. Okay? The day after we give them away, the next day I'm going to be headed to my daughter's for a few days. This year.
So the target is April 25th, 26th? You want
21st,
them?
I think. The
21st?
Sunday before Passover starts is the target date.
And the day before Earth Day.
Yeah, it's close to Earth Day,
Yeah.
and Arbor Day is like,
In September, I thought.
no, Arbor Day is
No.
the last Friday in April or something, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So
Just-
the perfect week would be the week of Passover, which happens to be the week of Passover.
Yeah.
Actually, the days in Passover, but I don't know when I couldn't get them easily enough. So anyway, that gets kind of complicated, but I think we can make that sort of happen. And that's worked out pretty good overall. And so we'll see how we can make that work.
Okay. So as soon as we have times, let us know and put them on the website.
I will.
And years ago, before there were free trees, the Environmental Commission was always sponsoring the tree giveaway for kids in school.
Right.
Second and third graders. It was second graders, then we skipped a year, so we made it to the third graders.
Well, they
So
started,
we've been doing third graders, and the Environmental Commission, out of our budget, used to just buy the trees, but they were like 25 cents a piece for the seedlings.
well, the ones in South Jersey, depending, they're only going to be maybe a buck to a buck and a half. I asked how much they think the tubulings are going to be, and she said maybe $3 or so.
Which is preferred for you?
Well, the tubulings would be better if, depending on when we get them, only because they're in a little tube and
They last
you
longer.
could water them a little easier if you had to, but you have to figure out what's happening before forever. So I'm going to send Dave Brown the thing saying that it could cost a little over maybe $1,000 or so. The other ones might cost, say, $600 instead of $1,000 or whatever it comes out to be. So we'll come up with a plan.
See if I can get a donor.
Well, that'd be nice too. But we've done it for years. Matter of fact, before they had this free giveaway thing, those first few years that we had the Greenfest trees that they gave out at the library. Greenfest was at the library. We bought those from the New Jersey from State Forestry Nursery. But everything's going up. The nursery, they just don't have enough people. People are quitting there and going out. I keep calling these other places. I call the New Jersey Shade Tree Federation. And the woman answers, "Oh, hi, Norm." But she used to be at the New Jersey Urban and Community Forestry thing, and so on and so forth. It's really just like weird.
All right. We got some other things on our agenda. So
Yes.
unless anyone else,
Yeah.
Angela, I don't mean to cut you off.
No,
I was just gonna ask if we could put that Unwasted's phone number on our environmental commission's website, because there's been issues with like pickups, like they'll change the day because of the weather. and stuff
Oh,
like that.
okay.
So this way, like people know, like where,
wait, which race are you talking about?
The plastic film.
No, I found out about the plastic film. I called because I had my stuff out on Monday and it was not picked up, right? So it turns out that I called the public works people, and whoever answered said, well, they have nothing to do with that.
Right.
on me,
Yeah.
okay? So,
Right.
so
That's why we
she
want to
gave me a
have
phone
their
She
number.
gave me a phone number for someone that wound up with and this was like in the morning of Monday, which wound up with a machine that I left a message on, okay, which I never got a call back on. And then somewhere Tuesday, at some point after my wife was saying, there's stuff still out there, I have to look out. Hey, it's gone. Imagine that.
I had 3 people come in today alone and 2 yesterday asking about information or a phone number for them.
Because it's not being picked up.
Because it's not being
And
picked up.
And the thing is I think it has to do with the weather and because it's plastic, right? It's gonna get all wet and it's not a closed container. So I know it's like a pilot program, so then it's confusing for people because not everybody knows it's a pilot program. But I know, like, I have an entire tub in my closet because it was raining and then I don't know, because it's not clear. Like maybe if there was a number we could just call and confirm each time.
Well, I took mine. I put it turned out to be a big bag. So I stuffed the bag in the bucket upside down so that if it did rain,
Right.
it would basically run off the top plastic bag.
Right.
For the record, mine was picked up.
On Monday.
What day? On Monday?
Monday.
You're the lucky one.
We will get a number for them
That would be great.
somewhere.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
No, but they didn't answer the number. I had the number.
But you left a message and then it got picked up. So
Yeah.
someone checked that message.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, God.
So do you not want to put the number on the
No,
website?
well, no, I think they just, what I'm saying is I think they just kept it. Put the number.
That's what we're going for. This is about the website.
All right, I'll try
Okay,
to
next.
gag myself.
All right. I have on the agenda the tree ordinance review and next steps, and I had the tree audit that got carried from last month because we didn't have the data in the format to be useful. I'm holding that to March because I want to have a conversation, and I tried to have a conversation with Colleen, what's Colleen's last name? Mayor, who is the new Ron, to talk coordination about all of that issue with her, and I have not had that, and I don't want to continue to have conversations until we're all on the same page. It seems not a great way to start a working relationship between the EC and them. So,
Could I say 3 things?
absolutely.
3 quick things about
Of
the tree ordinance.
course.
One, we're still in limbo waiting for the state guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, haven't
Right.
done anything.
Yeah.
2, Norm has suggested, at the very least, changing the construction ordinance to up the fee, or make the fee consistent with the other tree ordinance. And that could probably be done fairly quickly.
I took that as a due out from the last meeting.
Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility of just asking the council to do that.
Sure.
And 3, and I think I sent you email saying there are only 4 licensed tree experts in Monmouth County, which I find shocking because remember there used to be dozens of certified tree experts. So I don't know what's happened,
They got old.
but
Good stuff.
That's what happened.
they branched out. Yeah. So we require a licensed tree expert in town, and Bill Brooks is not. So
He is a licensed tree expert.
no, he's not.
He's not licensed?
Nope.
It gets really complicated because there's licensed tree experts, there's licensed arborists, there are tree specialists, there are at least a half a dozen very similar sounding titles with different credentialing levels.
So we're going to have to, make a change to the ordinance in that respect, because otherwise things he signed off on may not be legal. So,
And there are also what they call ISE, Certified Arborists.
Yeah.
ISA, International Society of Arborists, Arboriculture, whatever it's called. That is not technically a New Jersey license thing, but it's recognized.
so in your discussion with the planning, ask maybe how that can be reworded so that it's not just licensed, but they're sufficient experience or whatever.
Experienced instead of licensed tree expert?
Define experience.
Seasoned.
It's about credential.
So I think some of it has to do with like their training or something, because I remember having this issue because I have like some dead trees in the back of my house, and even though the landscaper said these are dead, I said, well, can you just put that in the letter? He's like, no, you need to have like a certified person, even though it looked dead to everyone. And so I had to get a letter, right? So, and it was challenging to find someone who did it, but there was some special letters that they had, like in like specifications, like
Well,
either
there's
they were
some things-
certified or something. They had something, after their signature.
Well,
So there's got to be something, either licensed, certified, something, some training.
New Jersey only just has the one standard now, licensed tree expert, that's
Yeah.
it. But, I mean, today, if you went, you could apply in town and then Bill Brooks would come out and look at it and certify it. So
Mhm.
at least we save residents that trouble.
Yeah,
Even in the summer, it's easier to tell if a tree's dead or not.
sure.
Not so much right
That's
now.
it.
No, that's, yeah. But moving right along to other ordinances, there's two, and I'm gonna put them together again. There's the stormwater ordinance that is Sustainable Jersey Points. Did I see an email from you about this recently, Jack?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Then no, I saw an email about it recently. There's, just to bring everyone up, because I don't think we've talked about it in depth for a while, under Sustainable Jersey, there is the Enhanced Stormwater Ordinance, which includes a bunch of different provisions that allow municipalities to beef up their stormwater protections in town. If you do, you get points for Sustainable Jersey. There's a whole long saga behind its creation. I will not bore you with it now. We had been talking about doing it. We presented to the council twice on it, and then it kind of didn't go anywhere. But there wasn't a reason it didn't go anywhere, and everyone was kind of interested in doing it, but they wanted to just think about it a little bit more. We've been thinking about it for 2 years, so let's figure out where we are with it and get it.
Last Thursday, there was a stormwater, Zoom. Is that what you're talking about? You might have saw Margie might have sent you something on that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There's a
And
lot
they
of,
had like the rain gardens and all like the options of
Yeah.
doing.
this is not that.
That's not
this,
that.
This is a different one.
Oh.
Yeah, this is, it really gets into, some of the more engineering specific things about runoff rates and things like that. And the major and minor developments and the split there, which would be, it captures the cumulative impact of a bunch of small development instead of just saying, okay, well, you get, 250 feet, and you get 250 feet, and you get 250 feet, and it's great. All of a sudden you have, 10,000 feet of impervious cover that no one really knows where it came from. Anyways, which leads me into the next question that I have is, last year towards the end of the year, there's the ordinance introduced to reduce the impervious cover limits in town. And then I know there were going to be modifications, but it hasn't been introduced. But Julia, you're looking at me like you have something to say there.
Well, we left last meeting, you saying the next day that it would be 40% across the board. And it wasn't.
No, it was-
Has it been
90%.
reintroduced?
It got removed off the agenda.
Yeah. So, do we have any idea where that is or when it's coming back? Or
So we had asked the engineers to come up and they did like schematics for us to show the impacts of what has been proposed by area,
Mhm.
by zone, I guess is what it's called. It's not 40 across the board.
Okay.
That's for sure. And the R1 zone was not touched, right? Yes. it
Those are the
was.
biggest offenders.
R1 was touched, 20 to 25%, 75 to 45%, and that's lot coverage versus impervious coverage. None of this has to be all typed back up.
Yeah.
So what we had asked is that he show us the impacts of like what it was to what it would be with each of these changes. I could see, Greg Flash is the one that shared it with the council, so I don't see why he wouldn't be able to.
Is there a way for us to determine what the actual real world impact of stormwater is on the reduction in impervious cover? So like we can actually set policy based on something.
Yes.
Something set in stone.
I think
Like, why change it? Like, what's.
No, like say, okay, it's great that we're gonna reduce the amount of allowed cover, but let's say we need to achieve like, put a number out there, a 10% reduction in runoff across the board, or maybe in certain zones, because they're closer to
The brooks.
like watersheds and stuff, they need to be, they need to have higher restrictions. Like maybe there's a more fine thread we can weave to.
I think that Maryland looked at that when they did some of their stormwater ordinances, because they were trying to gauge the trade-off. They did a stormwater utility type program, and they were trying to gauge the trade-off of, okay, well, if you remove X amount of impervious cover, how much should we be reducing your fee? And I think they got into the math of that. So I think it's out there, but I'm not 100% certain. That's math that's over my head. I will not even pretend to grasp all of that. It gets really, because then you're also talking about volume versus flow versus everything else.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
What I'm saying is like maybe we should be looking at like a different number rather than 40% or 50%.
Well, yeah, we're coming down from 90% to 40%. I mean, and listen, I'm all for no one's basement's flooding, but I just thought that was so dramatic. In 24 hours, we were going to wake up the next day and, whoever didn't get a plan in has to revise the plan.
It was
so
90% of the buildable lot, and I think now it's 40% of the total lot area.
Well, that was the original introduced,
Right. Yeah.
and they've been making modifications since. The 40% was revised, and then is being revised more. So
I thought the term buildable lot wasn't going to be used anymore.
It's not. So it wasn't really 90% of your lot. It was 90% of.
buildable area.
There's only the whole lot minus the buffer or something.
Yeah.
Would be.
But the buffers are all different, right? Because you have your setbacks, right, from the zoning. But then if you have wetlands or a stream corridor or whatever it is, it wasn't.
That's true.
That was factored in.
Wetlands, right, was also taken.
Yeah, exactly. So you could have a lot, you could have a 2-acre lot and only a quarter of it's buildable.
We could put on it as an outhouse.
Just a note to Jack, the math is not linear, so it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's a nice curve too.
So they're still working on that and it's
Yes.
still coming. Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? Can they give us like 30-day notice? Like that is huge.
But you're getting a 30-day
Isn't there
notice.
like right now?
I mean, it's
Like when someone comes and says, I want to build this house on this property, it's like, well, in 30 days you might be able to only have half the size of the house on this property.
you have to read the public notices.
I know you got to stay current.
Yes, you do. That's
So
why
isn't-
that's what
isn't there
keeps the
like-
newspapers in business.
Isn't there like an enactment date? Like usually,
Yeah.
isn't there like 30 to, I don't know, 9, sometimes 45 days for?
It all depends on the
Pitched, and
ordinance.
then it has to
Yeah.
be-
Yeah.
So if something becomes, even if it says this ordinance takes effect immediately, it's not immediately.
Right.
It's as soon as it gets to the clerk and the clerk
Right.
sends it out and gets published again. So it's usually like 7 days. But you can always set an enactment date of June 30th
Right.
or whenever.
Yeah.
That may be more palatable, so people have notice.
Yeah.
At least, because otherwise people will contest.
I left last meeting in tears. We were like, tomorrow you're gonna wake up and we're voting on this. Or the next, it was on the agenda the next day.
You should bring Kleenex to that.
Yeah. So, okay, so that's good. So that's still moving forward. So I skipped you, Mary, but let's go back. Unless anyone else has anything on these two ordinances. All right, Mary, anything going on Brookside?
It's the same. There's a delay in them being able to dredge the pond because some of the people whose property is on the pond is their property, haven't responded yet. So there's nothing can happen on Brookside until the pond is dredged, and apparently the pond cannot be dredged until they have permission from each property owner.
If these people don't like the project, then it's dead, right?
I don't think she.
Mary, did you hear Norm's question? Norm asked.
I can only hear your voice. I was just sending you a note about this. I still have the same bug as I had last month, and I don't think I can really be part of the meetings until I'm well enough to come come in person because I can hear noise, but I can only hear one or two voices. I'm not really hearing everything.
Okay.
So
The question, Mary, if you can hear me, and if not, we'll move along. But the question was, if they do not want the project to continue, if a neighbor does not wish to see the pond dredged and does not sign off, does that mean the project is dead?
I can't tell you that for sure yet because I was talking to the town engineer through Margie, and Margie is gone now, and I don't know if we have a new liaison yet to work with me on this, but I need to get from him the copies of the letter because it can't be something I email to the neighbors. It has to be done in the original copy apparently. And then I agreed that I would go around, but I also would need to talk to him about sending to the addresses of the people who own. A lot of these properties are just rentals that they rent out for the summer and try to rent again for the winter. So that there's going to be more difficulty, and I haven't really been able to find out from the engineer if that would kill the project if they can't get every single signature.
Okay. Does that answer your question, Norm?
I'll ask
Yeah,
that question.
Yeah,
Right.
it answers my question that we have no clue.
All right.
That's what I heard.
Moving along on our agenda, the 2024 work plan discussion part 2. Thank you for everyone who participated last month and who sent in suggestions via email. So my proposal to you all for our work plan items this year are the trying to find and put in a rain garden at Palea Park near the entrance as a demonstration. We've been talking about this for a while, and I think I'm going to have to recruit Patty from your committee, Norm, but an adopt a drain program in town. Especially after last flooding, I saw some of my neighbors out there taking leaves off of their own volition, but if we could do an adopt a drain so people knew to keep it clear, and we'll start small, I think that might be a good way to get folks involved. And I actually think this is open to ideas, but one of Andrew Brandon's suggestions was to do a refresher on recycling in town. What we can recycle, how we can recycle it, what is and what isn't. And I think that would be fantastic if we could do an actual visual demonstration. So we would come in with a bunch of trash and we sort it in front of people.
So the
Yes. You know the
township calendar
reels.
that just went out
Mhm.
has recycling information that says you can recycle every plastic 1 through 7.
Say it one more time. Which place?
It said every on the resident identification code on the bottom. The calendar says you can recycle 1 through 7, which I know is a lot.
Well, let me say this.
Because there's-
Before, when they first came out with the stuff, what you can do and not do, okay? I happened to call and I got a hold of someone at Mazda, who is where they take it,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And they will take so many things, your eyes will roll in your head.
Mhm.
They'll take thick aluminum foil, okay? All the yogurt tins and all that sort of stuff, no problem. It's all kind of stuff that they would take. But when I suggested we put those things in, because we even said you can't do those things, it was like, well, we don't know if we're going to keep using them, and so on and so forth. Now, the reason I even got to Mazda in the first place was that this all started because the county landfill was doing this huge project. The county is going to spend millions of dollars doing a whole thing where they could take all sorts of stuff and sort it out and everything else. And when everything started going to Mazda, they canceled that entire I called the guy who I'd spoken to previously. How's the project going? He says, what project, kind of, thought he said to me. So what are you talking about? Well, Mazda's taking all this stuff in. They built a multi-bazillion-dollar thing that does all this stuff, right? So we need to have someone more official than I am, but go and find out what can we do, and if it's going to be at Mazda. And so in 10 years, we'll change the rules in 10 years if we stop taking it to Mazda or something like that, right? Because you can throw all sorts of, no problem.
Is there a contract with Mazda? Like,
Mhm.
Is there a
Yeah, we
long-term
take the stuff
contract?
goes there.
No, but like, do we know when it expires or terminates?
I don't know,
We
but
can,
there's nowhere else to
we can
take
check
it.
on that.
You're not going to take it to North Jersey.
No, I understand that, but my point is we could say, like, if we know that the contract's like 5 years self-renewing or You know what I mean? Like, and we know that we're probably gonna be with them for the long haul.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm saying there's
I
gotta
agree.
be a way to figure it out that we can.
Sure.
Well,
better.
the point is that the information that we communicate needs to reflect what the current situation is. So you need to, if Mazda says you can recycle plastic, because the calendar says 1 through 7, and it has to be a bottle with a pourable neck, which is also false.
Right.
It could be any plastic because it doesn't matter if it has a small neck or, it's still plastic. It's the same
Correct.
material.
Right.
You just have to rinse it out and put it in the bin. But I'm pretty sure 7s are not recyclable because 7 means other. It's like every other kind of plastic mixed together, and they don't usually have a market for
No,
that.
I think this
Unless they have
is-
one of the grinders.
What do you mean?
There's certain recycling plants have this, it's a Danish technology that essentially grinds everything to almost like finer than sand. And
Yeah.
they get sifted out in different ways, so they really do not care. Like send pizza boxes. We don't care. It's just going to get ground up anyways. And then we sort through the sand in different. I don't know. It sounds like dark magic to me, but it is whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one out in Trenton that they
Okay, well,
have.
well, all I'm saying is we need to find out what there was. There was
Yes.
actually a video on the Maz's website at one time. I don't know. I couldn't quite find it again. It's much. So what you can recycle and not.
So Mazda has actually a list of things that are recyclable, and I follow that rather than the township guidelines.
Right.
To throw things in.
Right.
But my point is, if we are the environmental commission and we are sitting here having this discussion that we're having about what is and what isn't and where it is and what isn't,
What do residents think?
what is everyone else doing out there? So let's do something back to basics. I love the idea of doing something visual, and then we can report it and either put it on the township website or on township YouTube.
Why can't we just take a single stream?
We have single stream.
No, I mean, not single stream recycling, just single stream everything. Because at the recycling plant, they usually have like people on the line that pull all the trash off anyway.
Sure.
No.
And it would
You're
save
gonna
the
throw
town
banana
a ton of
peels in
money.
there and everything else. Is that the idea?
No, but they have the technology. Most plants can support single stream trash and recycling collection. And then the town only has to send out one set of trucks a week instead of 2 sets.
I don't know.
That's all.
Yeah,
that's beyond the scope of educating about recycling.
Yeah, one of the things you can put in your garbage can is you can put 5 pounds of dirt every load if you want.
Okay.
Whatever you
I mean, Angela,
I was gonna ask, and maybe it's beyond the purview of this committee, but like, it's come to my attention that there's not a lot of recycling in school. Like, they just start to recycle paper, or maybe if there's like a club, they'll recycle plastic bottles, which is like mind blowing that a school that doesn't really recycle paper, cardboard, or anything. So I don't know if there's any piece of this that we can like also, educate. I mean, everybody knows to recycle. There's just no, I don't know if there's any
It's just garbage cans.
involvement. Well, no, there's recycling in garbage cans, but people are using both for everything, So I'm just wondering if it's any part of our role to go in to be like, hey, this is what we're doing, or is it more involved in like their staffing and their janitorial services and their, you know what I mean? Like that, like, I don't know how layered it is, and I don't know if that's like a different domain. Like
it's kind of a
dominion.
different domain,
Okay.
and they have a Sustainable Jersey Schools program, which is really the folks who would be in the best position to do something like that, because they are, for all intents and purposes, a separate government entity altogether.
I see.
And so they have their own business administrators and all that. So
I see.
yeah.
Okay, no, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah.
In the past, we've done programs with schools.
yeah, we can absolutely partner with them and do it.
But in terms of their collection of their recycling or
Yeah.
mandating their recycling
Right.
is not.
Yeah. We can go in and we can talk to them. But again, they already have a system in the school that we can gladly support and nudge and do all that. But
Such an educational opportunity.
but they're award, they just
They're
got,
environmental.
what award did they get? They just got,
I think they got one.
They got,
yeah, they
But
got
they're not
bronze, yeah.
recycling paper. I mean, let's just, it's mind boggling. They have a rain garden, but they're not recycling paper. Or plastic, so.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
It is.
So we can work with them. So recycling is, all right, that'll be our top one for the year. The other ones on the list,
Get the kids
Is-
to make the YouTube video.
Yeah, even better, right?
They're
That would
more
be
savvy than
fantastic.
we are.
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
Maybe that's something where they could have a contest who does the best video.
Who does
Yes.
the best?
Oh my God, we're
love
so
this.
2024.
Yeah, because
It's best real.
yeah, because there was a girl who's from Monmouth who did like she did a video and she submitted it for something and she won and she did a great job and it was an environmental topic. So I mean I know that these kids really want to be involved.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. I love this. I love this idea. Let's
The prize,
flesh this
the
out
prize
more.
will be a set of T-shirts made of recycled bottles.
with Norm's face on them.
That would be good for a batting team.
The last two, and we already touched on it very earlier, is I want to start looking at what our process is going to be to redo our ERI. This one is now 5 years old. We want to get the new one in. It's part of the master plan. That's going to take some coordination, but this committee drove it last time. This committee should drive it again. This is really important, and I want to make sure that any of the hurdles that we encountered last time about incorporating into the master plan are removed so that we don't go through that again. And the last one, and this keeps coming up, and there was actually legislation passed to provide financing for it. We really want to do a deer exclosure demonstration project in Joe Playa Park as well. We can do it around one of those little tree stands that are in the middle of the park that everyone kind of walks by, parks by the during the festival. But the deer exclosure, it's a project that is near and dear to my heart. It's a great Eagle Scout project, and the cost is not insurmountable for them to raise. So a deer exclosure is the exact opposite of an enclosure. Okay, you put up fencing to keep deer out of a certain area, and you go and you remove all the invasive species that have taken over because it's a whole long story. But you will see what the environment looks like if there were not deer eating all of the undergrowth and hurting the health of the forest that it is. And then you can start to understand. I think that people have become so normalized to driving by all of the forests in town, but Joe Playa in particular, and everything from here down, just either non-existent or brown and dead.
It's just
Not
plain
helpful.
gone. It's just plain gone. The whole
Yeah.
understory.
Right. So a deer exclosure is what
Trees
a healthy forest looks like. Yeah. So that's our work plan for 2024. I think that is an achievable set of goals.
A question on the
Yeah.
ERI,
Mhm.
could that be, or should that be a joint project between us and the planning board?
Yes. There should be.
Maybe like a subcommittee of people
Mhm.
figuring that out, so they don't go two separate ways.
Yes. Exactly. And we'll work on coordinating that. Okay. Looking at the time, we're getting close. Just briefly, the only other thing, Norm, we'll get to plans in 1 second. We'll close out on that. Planning board did not meet in January. I have no update. Jack, Sustainable Jersey, you had a meeting this week?
Yeah, we had a meeting Monday evening. We are full steam ahead with Green Fest planning and just trying to work through some Sustainable Jersey actions that we might want to pursue in 2024. If anyone has time to help with Green Fest, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, we are on.
Okay.
I talked to somebody, one of the kids who does the battery recycling, he wants to come down. Like there's like someone who runs the battery recycling.
We'll talk after the meeting.
And I gave him a date, and so I said, I'll give him more details about it. Yay.
All right, Norm, what do we got for plans?
Okay, well, the first thing, right, I sent everybody my reports on those billboard things, right?
Yes.
I sent it to council too, okay? I mean, it was the most unbelievable thing I ever saw.
Norm, I cannot hear you.
They're gonna be 50 feet in the air, right? They're gonna be 50 feet in the air or something like that. But basically, it says the ordinance that they want to get a variance to. There will be no additional billboards in town. That's what the ordinance says. It says, and under these conditions, you can move a billboard or replace it. And they come in to the Board of Adjustment saying they want a variance against the thing, right? You must have got it. I sent that to you. Two site tours. I'm pretty sure I sent it to everybody.
It's not ringing a bell, but keep
to your town thing, maybe a week or so ago. Right, did you get them?
I got it, yeah.
It might
have been 2 weeks ago, yeah.
It was
Yeah.
unbelievable. One of these billboards was going to be on the what's now a Phillips 66 station, and the other one was going to be where the Ocean Town, near
In front of Orchard Plaza, right?
near Orchard,
Yeah.
Orchard Plaza. And one of them was going to be above, it was going to be above the Phillips 66 sign, which is already at 20, you know what I'm saying? It was like unbelievable, you know, in both directions. You know, talk about an eyesore.
Were you the first red flag for that?
And if it's both directions, it's two billboards.
Okay, but I wrote, it was unbelievable. I was so offended by those plans. Okay, because I remember just 10 seconds, there were billboards near where the McDonald's is. And this gigantic billboard came down, and they put in that ordinance, but they were still allowed to rebuild it. And it was like 2 years they had to rebuild it. When they didn't rebuild it, we sort of celebrated at the Environmental Commission meeting that that billboard is gone forever. Okay? And that ordinance was 20 years ago, maybe more. Somewhere in my report it says when it was
So this is
adopted.
the 41st jurisdiction to overturn it.
Guys, if I remember correctly, there was a number that was it was part of the negotiation. I don't know if it got into the ordinance. It was something in the order of 18 to 20 billboards, period. Whatever existed in town at that time was it for the number.
Yeah, I don't think the number's in there, but it just said there will be no additional billboards, for sure.
Right.
That's for sure. Okay. So anyway, so the other things we have, there's a synagogue off near where Larchwood and don't ask me.
Park?
Not Park.
Lewis?
Larchwood and Lincoln.
Lincoln.
It's just off Lincoln on a street called
The Red Schoolhouse.
Bower. Okay, and they want to rebuild the thing and so and they're putting in some trees, but I do have there's a book I have on trees that there's one of the copied and buried in this town somewhere too. That Penn State put a thing about all trees, you know, and one of these they want to put in this kind of a cherry tree. But I noticed and it says it only lives 20 years. You know, so it's may make too many other comments, okay? Then they want to do something, the car wash near Blue Swan. They're doing something over there, but I just got these plans today, and there's a few other lot things at some of those. But that billboard one, that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
You read your review?
I spent a lot of time on that.
Can I see the bottom one, the synagogue, that they're putting the bridge over?
There's no bridge.
There's not a bridge that they're going over.
No, it's just a lot on the
That's
corner.
That's a
somewhere else.
separate.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
another
that's
I haven't seen that one. I don't
that
know.
way. Yeah.
I haven't
There's
seen
a,
one. with-
there's a town
Wrong
project.
one, wrong
There's a town
property. I
project.
thought
They
that,
want to put a bridge so people can walk.
yeah, I thought that was it.
Yeah, didn't you
Oh, no, that's
vote
the
on
one that
in the
Mary's
council
involved.
recently? Because we voted on that at the planning.
Oh,
board.
here's your
We
copy.
did not do a vote on it yet.
Okay.
Where would the bridge be?
Yeah, we did. It was a capital review.
Popular vote.
Yeah, 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 I thought that was.
It's a bridge. All right. Does anyone have anything else that they would like to bring up tonight?
Sorry, I
No,
know you don't want to
please.
stay so long. Okay, so I don't know if I wrote to you about this, but I ended up going to that Tinton Falls commission plan, like their town meeting, their borough hall meeting that was very focused on the landfill. And Tom Arnone, the commissioner, county commissioner, was there, and he was very, very willing to try to solve the problem, you know. And he sat there, and there was a presentation by Waste Management to talk about like some sort of remediation plan. But it got really hot. The residents of Tinton Falls were very, very upset. There were people from Eatontown, Shrewsbury, I think there too, and a couple people from Ocean. But I don't know how involved our town wants to be. I mean, we're very close to that facility, and I think people are having questions about, you know, what is the health effects of, you know, these odors and you know, it's this constant exposure. It's not like, oh, it's happening once every 6 months. It's happening like every night. It's coming into the houses. You know, like I live in a nice section of Wayside. It's coming into my home, you know. And
So this is all related to the land?
yes, it is all related to landfill. People are calling DEP, you know, and the state has its processes, and it's not gone away, you know, and it's only getting worse. And there, I think Waste Management gave a you know, a 30-day plan, 45, 60, 90-day, and they were supposed to reconvene 45 days after the January meeting in Tinton Falls with like an update report. But, there were still some outstanding questions about, at the county level, what was happening. I mean, all these things happen in layers, but I don't know if there's something we can do as a committee or if the town council can do. I know they are aware of it, but, I don't know if there needs to be more education to everyone saying, hey, there's this thing here that we need to complain more about so that it changes,
But I guess I need to understand, so the emissions coming out of the landfill has changed in some way?
There is something that's different now. And part of the waste management plant presentation was that there is, 400,000 pounds of garbage going into the landfill, which should have
They're
been
attributing it to volume?
Well, no, some of it's volume, but they're also talking about the amount of rainfall. The odor is worse when there's so much rain and less sun to absorb up the smell. But they also talked about just, I think just the turning. It's unclear actually why exactly it's happening, but they do attribute a lot of it to water. And there's been like historic rains, and apparently the last time this happened was like 6 years ago when there was also like 87 inches of rain that year, and we had like 67 inches, or there was some.
And they were also doing unpermitted work.
Right. Well, so there was a lot of
And
controversial
you and I
topics.
both can smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of like other controversial topics, but they did talk about the evidence, some of the actual numbers and things like that. And a lot of people didn't care about the presentation.
So one side is saying it was a natural occurrence, and the others,
Well,
there's something nefarious.
Well, not necessarily.
Or just
Just
negligence.
negligent or just non-compliant, and then also the fact that there's questions about this landfill should have been capped, and why hasn't it been capped? So that was like question one. Question two is like what are they questions about like what are they using to cover up the odor, because they said, oh, we'll start using this other chemicals, like is this a carcinogenic thing? That was a question, and they said, well, we're not really using it, clearly, because it still smells. Then there were questions about monitoring, air quality monitoring. They say they do it once a week on on one specific day at one specific time, whereas there are other places that do it 24 hours a day, so they can make sure that I think they said the hydrogen sulfide or something, they wanted to make sure the levels were appropriate and in compliance with the regulations. So there were a lot of questions that came up, a lot of really good ones that the residents who've been dealing with this very closely brought up. And it was a novel issue for me because it's the first time I'd heard someone talk about it so in depth. But there's a lot of material on this, like Monmouth. There's this Facebook page. It's like Monmouth County Environmental Health and Safety something. There's like some kind of group where people are posting information and other comments. But there's a lot of like old information, like this was the lawsuit. This was these were some other papers that were filed in the past. But there was a lot of robust discussion about this issue. But I think there are a lot of people who are like, oh yeah, something's not right, something smells weird, or something, I'm not sure whether this is healthy for us. But I think a lot of, as it's coming into people's homes, it's one thing like you can't go walk your dog, right? But then it's another thing where it's like you're sitting in your house and you're like, wow, that's not right. So I don't know if it's worth doing a survey, like in town to see like who's it, like a Google form, like who's being affected by this.
Well, I know that the Asbury Park Press is now trying to do
Yes.
mapping of
Yes.
where people filed reports from.
Yes.
And
But that's like if you have a case number, right? Not everybody has a case number. I didn't have a case number in my first complaint, but I said, I didn't have a case number, but here, put my address down.
Yeah.
But, I don't know how involved like we would get or would comment on this issue, but it is something that affects the environment in our town and our ability, our health, and I don't know how it's affecting like things that are going to grow, and it has to do with water. Like a lot of it has to do with the water not being absorbed and whatnot. So I just wanted to talk to you about it.
Also wonder about the runoff.
Yeah, right? And so, I know that people are working on it, just it doesn't seem like they're working fast enough on it.
They don't smell it in their homes.
I guess, but what's troubling and is that our land values are going up, which seems great, but will they, does it make sense that our land values are going up so high in such an exponential way when we have this thing that's a nuisance, right? That's like right by us. It's confusing, right?
Has the military had any input on this? Because Earl is right behind the landfill.
I don't know.
Maybe the wind blows the other way.
Well, it usually blows towards the east from the west.
Yeah, west.
But that's not the main part of Earl. That's that's their firing range. It's not like a populated part of Earl.
Okay.
Main
Yeah,
part of
'cause I
Earl
work
is
on
up.
34
The main part is
for
on
Earl.
34. That's where they have all the normal.
That's right.
humans hang out, you know. But that part of Earl, they used to have, I know there's a firing range. It's there.
You ever take Normandy Rose?
I have years ago, but not recently.
But I mean, part of it is, I remember when this was going on a few years ago, my mother lives in Fox Chase, right by Tinton
Right.
Falls. So even under the best of conditions, if the wind's blowing the right way on the right day, you will smell it. In Wanamassa, the number of times that I've been smelling it recently, and Stephen, I'm sure you have too, like that is not a functioning landfill
Right.
that is going well.
Right.
It should not be traveling in that concentration that far.
Right.
But it's a DEP issue, it's a county health department issue, and it's an elected officials issue above the municipal. I mean, the town should be talking. Our residents are being impacted, but it's really the county folks and the state folks.
Is there like something that and I don't, again, I know it may not be the purview of our committee, but is there something like we can go to our elected officials and say, can you sign on with other towns, and then go to the county commissioner and say, okay, these are like the 10 towns, like there's Colts Neck and Bradley, and there's because it is so vast, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's all of Ocean Township, all of Eaton Township, Shrewsbury. Like if all of those elected leaders go together, because to be honest, at that meeting, Vin Gopal was there, Margie was there, the Tinton Falls town, the borough council, they hosted it, so they were there, and then Tom Arnone was there, and then there was one air quality rep from DEP that was there, and then Vin Gopal and Margie and Luann Peter Paul were there. So I mean, certainly, people who govern our county are aware of this issue, but I don't know how much our town wants to participate or can participate.
I mean, we could theoretically work with the council to put together an information session similar to what Tinton Falls did, if there's appetite to do it, and it's not just turning into a screaming match. I'm all about solutions oriented.
Well, that's the thing, is that I think what may be more helpful is that everybody shows up to the other, like one council meeting, as opposed to individual towns, because then it will become a screaming match. In some ways, because it's just better for us to hear from one source of information, the same story, rather than different things at different times, maybe, or maybe make it incumbent on them to say, they need to do better PR, right, to come out to us, but they may not know that our town's being as effective as it is. That I don't know, because it may just be more of the same, waste management coming out, giving the presentation, which seems novel to us, but actually a lot of people in Tinton Falls said it was the exact same presentation they saw like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Exact same.
But that 6 years ago, I was smelling it in my front yard then too.
Yeah.
And that was.
And that's when
And
you
6 years ago, I was smelling it on this side of town.
Yeah, and Ed, I have smelled it in my front yard also, and it's concerning in the overall of what's happening in town, and it's going to have to eventually reflect in our property values.
Yeah.
Did you say you bought your house and then you smelled it the first time and you were like,
I started to cry.
move?
I mean, this was back in 2009. I bought my house, and I remember crying. Like just 2 weeks after I bought my house, I'd gone out in the evening to a class at the Wayside School, and I came home and I said, "Did I come to the nuisance? I don't know. Did I?" Because that's all I could think of for my property law class. So it's been around for a while. It's gotten better, it's gotten worse, but I don't know. I mean, I think we need to have some kind of information session to get a poll of what's, get a measure of what are people feeling in town about it.
Do you want to tackle it? Do you want me to talk to Dave? Do you want to?
Oh, I have it, Kelly.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, it is past the hour. So make a motion. Norm moves, Ken
Wait,
seconds.
faster on this one.
All in favor?
I
Hi.
Aye.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me go on about that.